All right, so let's get right into it. The source material for this whole thing, honestly, it looks pretty dry. I mean, it's just a list of old wrestling results from Baltimore's Civic Center back in the 70s. You've got dates, names, who won, who lost. That's it. But what if I told you that hidden inside all this raw data, there's a decade-long drama? A story about heroes, villains, and the absolutely shocking fall of a king.
Right? I mean, how can a simple list of matches tell a story like that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. We're going to treat these results kind of like a hidden script. We're going to uncover this epic saga from the Worldwide Wrestling Federation's golden age, all told through the lens of just one arena. So let's get this story started.
Okay, first, let's set the scene. You got to remember, back in the 1970s, wrestling wasn't the huge national TV spectacle it is today. It was built city by city, arena by arena. And for the WWF, the Baltimore Civic Center, it was way more than just another stop on the tour. It was a battleground. This was the place where the biggest stars in the world came to defend their honor and where championships and legacies were made and sometimes completely broken. And our story really kicks off with a hero, WWF World Champion Pedro Morales. He was known as the People's Champion, and for good reason, a totally beloved figure who held that title for almost 3 years straight. And here's the thing, if you wanted a piece of him, if you wanted a shot at that championship, your road went right through Baltimore.
So check this out. This is where the data starts to tell the story. You can actually see his consistency as a champion just by looking at this timeline of his defenses in Baltimore. In 71, he's turning back tough guys like Blackjack Mulligan. Then at 72, you've got legends like Freddie Blassie and the absolute wild man, George the Animal Steele. And he's still on top in 73, fighting off new challengers. See, this isn't just a list of names. It's a visual record of total dominance.
And this really shows you the danger he was in. These were not your standard run-of-the-mill matches, no way. On February 9th, 1972, he had to beat the legendary Freddie Blassie inside a steel cage. Then a year later, he's in a Texas death match. I mean, come on. The data is screaming at us that the stakes were just getting higher and higher. For nearly 1,000 days, Pedro Morales was the king, and Baltimore was his castle. But you know, every single reign has to end sometime.
Which brings us to the next chapter. After Pedro's incredible reign, the title eventually found its way back to the guy who basically defined it, Bruno Sammartino, the living legend. His second time as champion started in late 73, and for the next 3.5 years, the man was an absolute fortress.
And once again, the results from Baltimore tell the whole story of this seemingly unstoppable champion. He beat a laundry list of absolute killers, Killer Kowalski, Blackjack Lanza, and the terrifying Stan Hansen in a steel cage match no less. But look closer at that match from March 1976, a double countout against this charismatic newcomer, superstar Billy Graham. That draw, that non-finish, that was foreshadowing. That was a storm cloud gathering on the horizon for a champion who looked like he could never be beaten.
You know, every great story has that one moment, that huge turning point where everything changes forever. And for the WWF in the 70s, that moment happened on one very specific night, in this one specific arena. It was a result that sent shockwaves through the entire sport, literally.
April 30th, 1977, Baltimore, Maryland. The data points us right here to this exact time and place. This is it. This is the setting for the biggest, most pivotal scene in our entire 10-year drama.
And here are our two main characters. On one side, you've got Bruno Sammartino, the tough-as-nails, old-school hero, the guy who'd been champion across 2 reigns for more than 11 years combined. He was the establishment. And on the other side, superstar Billy Graham. All flash, all muscle, rocking the psychedelic tie-dye. He was the future. This was the classic irresistible force meeting the immovable object. And then the story delivers its twist. For over 13 minutes, these two titans just went at it. But when Graham finally pinned Sammartino, our source material, the simple list of results, gives us this one absolutely crucial detail. The winner got the pin by putting both feet on the top rope for leverage. So what does that mean? It means the king wasn't really conquered. He was cheated. The invincible champion was dethroned by a villain's dirty trick.
And just like that one result changed everything. The fall of Sammartino kicked off a completely new era, first with the controversial superstar as champion, and then with the guy who would carry the torch after him.
Yeah, the superstar era was a whole different world compared to Bruno's time on top. Graham was loud, he was arrogant, but man, was he exciting. And the data shows him defending that title in Baltimore against a whole parade of fan-favorite heroes. We're talking Bobo Brazil, Chief Jay Strongbow. He was the ultimate villain champion, and you better believe the fans paid good money to see their heroes try and shut his mouth.
And did they ever pay? Just look at this number. The data tells us that for a show on April 8, 1978, more than 10,000 fans crammed into the Baltimore Civic Center. Think about that. Why? To see the clean-cut, all-American challenger Bob Backlund try yet again to take down the hated superstar Billy Graham. This number isn't just a number, it's proof that the story was working, the drama was real.
This table right here, this tells the entire story of that year's power struggle, right there in Baltimore. Look, Graham starts 1978 as the champ, but then Bob Backlund shows up. Backlund wins by countout in February, but you can't win the title that way. Then they fight to a double DQ. Backlund wins by DQ again in April. The data is showing us a champion who's just barely hanging on, right? He's losing the matches but keeping the belt on technicalities. But by the end of the year, it's over. Bob Backlund is the undisputed champion, defending the title inside a steel cage. The torch had officially been passed.
So when we step back and look at the whole decade, it's pretty clear we've uncovered something amazing here. This simple, dry list of who beat who wasn't just some boring record. It was a script, just waiting for someone to read it.
Think about it. We watched the incredible, dominant reign of Pedro Morales. We saw the epic return of the legend, Bruno Sammartino. We pinpointed the exact, controversial moment a villain cheated his way to the top, and then we followed the rise of a new hero who brought order back to the kingdom. It's a 10-year drama, and it was all told through the data from one single building.
And all of this leaves us with one last question to chew on. We always talk about legendary wrestlers, right? But what about legendary places? The story we just put together, it doesn't just belong to Sammartino or Graham. It belongs to the Baltimore Civic Center, too. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing stories are just sitting there, waiting to be discovered in the simple records of the places where history was made?